I just love that picture of the gang. And I just love opening the show up to that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rick Hampton. Welcome to the latest edition of You Get What You Get, along with my great host, Tim Turner and Tree McDougal.
It's two of us.
Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing well. What's good, Tree? What's good, Tim?
I got no complaints. How about you, Tim?
Nope, I don't mind being one of your pips, Gladys.
You got to get your steps down, though.
Yeah, really. Woo-hoo. I got the midnight
train, baby.
Absolutely.
Hey, we got a good show and a lot to talk about tonight with the start of NBA free agency. A lot of teams making a lot of moves, a lot of surprising stories to get into. But we're going to wait before we hit that because we're going to be joined by former New Jersey Nets shooting guard Derek Gervin and discuss those issues. Get Derek's thoughts on free agency. Also get his thoughts, see what he thought about the finals, which ended a few days ago. That was obviously won by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I think a great place to start tonight, man, would be paying homage to the passing of the late, great Dave Parker.
Yeah, Dave was. While we were pre-game preparation here, I was looking at people who are in the Hall of Fame before Dave Parker. He got inducted with the Veterans Committee and was supposed to go in on July 27th of this year. So the fact that they waited forever to put him in there is just astounding to me. This guy was he was trouble for everybody.
Yeah, a tremendous athlete, Tree, growing up in Cincinnati. He was also an outstanding football player. He was 6'5", but he was a quarterback.
Right.
In high school. And he wanted to go play at Ohio State. But I think they wanted to move him to tight end or something. Tree, he's like, nah, man, I'm a quarterback. And I think we can see why if you watch this throw.
Look at that throw.
Yeah.
Jim Rice is surprised. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't even protest.
No.
And this is right here, another hose at the plate. On the fly, boom.
Yep.
He was one of the guys, Tree, that they call 5'2", can do everything. I mean, and to be a big man, he was just a smooth athlete out there, and a controversial figure too, Tim.
Well, yeah, I think there's some drug issues that kind of derailed his bid for the Hall of Fame, and it mystifies me that of all these people who are flawed individuals in the Hall of Fame, they seemingly look at some people's sins greater than others. And that's the thing that bothered me about this. I mean, yeah, but there are folks up there, in the steroid age. There's some people who are in the Hall of Fame right now who did juice, but nobody's, holding that against them. And that's the problem I have with sports writers. If you befriend these guys, the media, they play favorites. They'll get you back too.
They will not forget.
Oh no, So.
But Tim, before you go on, just right here, this is later in his career. Do you see how he changed his batting style? He opened up a lot more as he got older at the plate. And when he was younger, he was closed and he was pulling everything.
Right, closed. That's why he uncoiled, which they said they called him the cobra. Right here, he's doing the garden snake. So
that's him early in his career.
Yeah. Okay.
And True, the reason I mention that, and Tim, former baseball player, would know better than both of us, you have to adjust to what you're seeing out there. And some guys get stuck. Well, this worked for me 6 years ago.
Right.
but it doesn't work anymore. And he
You got to
was
make
able,
changes.
yeah.
And that would make sense that you try to adjust. But yeah, I could see where people just keep sticking with this is what I know, this is what I do,
Right.
and just keep
It's
doing
like,
that.
this is what I've always done. And it's like, well, it's not working anymore. This guy, he changed himself. I'm going to call out some names that have already in the Hall of Fame.
I figured you would. Let's do it.
Craig Biggio.
Come on, man.
Joe Mauer.
Come on, man.
Scott Rowland.
Come on, man.
Ted Simmons. Alan Trammell, and Edgar Martinez. I don't think those six cats collectively, were better than Dave Parker.
No.
But you know what? All these cats gave great interviews.
Tram's the nicest guy you ever want to meet.
These are some nice dudes. Nice dudes.
And Parker was a guy who would tell you where to go.
Exactly.
So for those who don't understand that, tell us how that works.
Well, you got to get 75. What is it? 78%. It's some sort of 70% of the Hall of Fame ballots to be on there. And I think you get like 10 years to be on a ballot, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. If you do that, don't get that, you roll off, and you get to the Veterans Committee, and then then that's like in perpetuity, and you come up there. If they say somehow your numbers get better, the later you played for some reason, it seems. I mean, his numbers are his numbers. It's not like he got any better in the later he got into retirement. Got one of my favorite players, Fred McGriff, got in last year. He was great when he should have been on the ballot, but he was picked by the Veterans Committee, that kind of thing. Some of these cats roll off like that, and it's unfortunate. And that was unfortunate for Dave Parker. I think Dick Allen isn't Dick Allen also on this class, or was it last year?
Finally, he got in, and Dick had just passed away.
Yeah, and he just passed away. Another guy who was an outstanding player, and his numbers didn't get any better.
Dick Allen went in 25.
Yeah, this year.
No, he's going in. Yeah, he's going in on the 27.
Another guy who's posthumously going in.
And and he passed away. I thought it was more recent, but it was 2020 when Dick Allen passed away.
Yeah. So I mean, that stuff doesn't make any sense.
And they are very similar, actually, in their productivity and players and their outspokenness.
Yeah, very outspoken.
They were black men who were not afraid to speak their mind in the 60s and 70s whatsoever. And they clearly made some enemies. Clearly.
Yeah. Baseball doesn't like you to be outspoken. You just want you to put your head down. They want you to smile all the time.
Well, think about this. The Yankees just rescinded their no mustache.
Last year, you can start wearing a mustache and a beard for the Yankees.
Come on, man.
That was the younger Steinbrenners who own the team now, as opposed to Dad, say people would not come to the Yankees because they did not want to shave their facial hair. And I think that's a legitimate reason. It's like what I do in the field has nothing to do with what I'm wearing on my face. But there are people who want to play for the Yankees, and they would shave their face, and they look, it would be a different look for them for sure. I remember the Braves catcher Brian McCann went up there, and he was clean shaven, and he, it took like 20 years off his face. Same with Wade Boggs, people like that who played with the Yankees. They looked really different once they got rid of all that facial hair.
And what was the reason for that? The rationale for having it clean? Just because?
Just because it was the Yankees were the Yankees, and you were gonna be clean shaven, short hair, none of this, no mullets, no flowing locks. It's gonna be very neatly coiffed. But the younger Steinbrenners realized nowadays that's not gonna fly with these players. It's like they want to be individuals and wear their hair the way they want to wear it. So be it.
Well, I did read recently that the mustaches were coming back for the younger guys.
Yeah. But Thurman Munson had a mustache, but you could not have a beard.
Hmm.
So you're dealing with those type of things.
Yeah, I think Reggie had a mustache.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
hey, but we also want to give our best to Ron Washington,
Yeah.
the manager of the uh,
LA Angels.
Anaheim Angels. He's stepping away for the rest of the season. Has had the Angels going well. He's having some health issues. And man, when you hear some of the interviews from some of the players on the team, you can tell, man, Washington is a beloved figure in that locker room. And,
It's just everywhere he goes, man. Because the 2 years ago, I think the All-Star game, 2 or 3 years ago, the All-Star game was in Kansas City, and the entire Braves infield were All-Stars. And to a man, they all said it was because of Wash. And how he used to do these drills with them all the time. He would make them, it made them great players, great fielders. And so all of them said, I wouldn't be here without Ron Washington. And he's had that effect. He had that effect on Freddie Freeman out in LA. And that's the thing today. The Angels are in Atlanta, and folks are, more so caring about Wash than they're caring about the home team, because he was such a beloved figure. And they talked about all the stories he would tell. He would tell joke after joke after joke, but he was a very hard taskmaster in terms of, being the infield coach and being assistant, essentially a second manager to a Brian Snitker. So everybody wishes him well. I mean, he took the Texas Rangers to 2 World Series. I mean, he can do a great job. He was he's an outstanding baseball man.
Yeah.
You know what?
I don't know about him as well as you guys do, but yeah, I did read about it, and I wish him well as well.
Our friend Larry Lee always had a theory about coaches, and it really doesn't fit here simply because baseball is a mostly white game now. But he always says black coaches, he prefaces and says, and I agree, he says white coaches can do the job in relating to players. But he said when you have a black coach, he has a special or different kind of relationship that he can forge with black players that some white coaches just can't go to. And it doesn't really fit the state with Washington because everybody loves Wash. Right. But that's something I would like for us to try to get into more, not necessarily tonight, at some point.
It's an interesting theory because most of the league is mostly white. I saw a highlight of something that happened a couple of years ago where 2 black guys, they hit back-to-back home runs in a game. And I said, does any baseball team have 2 American black players on there to even accomplish that, much less be in the same lineup? So this was a long time ago. Well, it was a Pirate game. It was Stargell and Parker went back-to-back in a game. It made me think there aren't 2 black guys on anybody's baseball team. I mean, American born, as opposed to you're always going to have kids from the Caribbean and from Asia, but that doesn't happen. It gives you the demographic and how it's changed. Although that next weekend they're going to highlight I guess they're going to highlight that the All-Star games here in Atlanta in a couple of weeks, and they're going to have HBCU Classic on that Friday night before the game, where they're going to take the top 50 HBCU baseball players and have a game out there at Truist Park. So we'll see what the stars of the movie, they're going to be there or not.
Now, how many of these HBCU players are going to be white?
Probably none, but I would put money on it that a lot of them will be Hispanic. Because if you watch the games during the year, the baseball teams are a mix of Hispanic players and black players.
You don't think any white players?
No. If there are, it's going to be a really surprise because I've not seen a lot of that.
Most HBCU golf teams are white. Save Howard University. They have a mostly black team because Sam wants to do that. The head coach there, gosh, Sam's last name escapes me right now. He will shoot me for not remembering that. But most of these kids are white that play golf, and a lot of the baseball teams I look at are white. I'm looking at I'm trying to get Hampton University's baseball roster up right
And I was looking at some of the women's bowling for some of these HBCUs. I think A&T, North Carolina A&T won, but they had mostly Hispanic and white women on their bowling squad. So I mean, these different sports will people gravitate toward them in that regard. I think Jackson State had a lot of white golfers, if I'm not mistaken. Eddie Payton was winning the SWAC every year with the golf team.
Yeah, he used to do that all the time, and actually Eddie has gotten pushback on that for not trying to recruit more black golfers. But you can't squeeze, what is it, blood out of a rock or whatever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lack of high quality black golfers. And all you got to do is watch any PGA Tour event to see that. Because I've told you guys many times, I'm sure on this show, there were more blacks on the PGA Tour in the 60s than there were today. Throughout the 1960s, there were 10 African-American golfers on the PGA Tour. And not only were they on the tour, they were winning on the tour. Charlie Sifford, Pete Brown, Lee Elder. So they weren't just out there, they were competing. Now,
so I'm thinking the later years, I'm thinking about people like Calvin Pete. He was out there 80s, forever and a day.
80s and 90s, 70s, 80s and 90s. You guys in Atlanta had a great player by the name of George Johnson, who played on the PGA Tour in the 60s and 70s. Speaking of greatness, we're about to be joined by a great basketball player and one of our great friends, former Nets shooting guard, Mr. Derek Gervin, who's going into another Hall of Fame this fall, Tim and Tree. D, how many Hall of Fames you in, man?
Well, this will be 2, but first I want to say hi to Ms. Tree and Tim. I don't know about the great basketball part, but hey, I'll take it. So thank you.
No, you know you're great.
Welcome back to the show, man. We miss having you on, D. And bro, we got a lot to catch up on because there's a lot going on. Before we get into the free agency, let's just look back a few days and give us your thoughts on what happened in the NBA Finals.
Well, I was kind of torn in the middle when the series started because, as you know, Rick Carlisle was my assistant coach with the Nets. And so I was a big Indiana fan. I was a Tyrese Halliburton fan. When you and I were doing our show regularly, when he came out in the draft, he was the only player I talked about in the 2020 draft.
You sure did.
So you look at Indiana, and then on the other side, Kason Wallace. He's the brother of a friend of mine that played at UTSA that left UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, a few years ago by the name of Keaton Wallace. So to see Keaton's younger brother play, and I'm a big fan of Shea. So I was torn in the middle, but I said it would be a great series. I picked OKC in 6, but I know that it could go either way. The way it ended was really sad to see Halliburton go down. All these guys, we'll get into that later, all these number zeros getting hurt like that. But it ended up a great series, Ricky, and I hope people one day, really look back on it and appreciate it. For me, it was something good because we're so accustomed to seeing LeBron, Steph, guys like that. It's a changing of the guard now. And so to see these young players get their just due, Shea and TJ McConnell and Nimhard and all these guys, to see them get their due that they deserve, man, I thought it was fantastic. I thought the series was fantastic. And the NBA is still going strong.
spoken like a true basketball guy, because of the ratings. The ratings would beg to differ. That people didn't want to see that, except for the last game. Game 7s always make a huge draw, but it's like people were like, it's Indy and it's OKC, but those are folks who are casual watchers of basketball, and also they weren't on TV a lot. You know, you got your Boston, Milwaukee, Lakers, Knicks, Golden State, the end. It's different permutations of games that they're in. Maybe Miami every so often, or Cleveland this year because they were hot. But nobody got to see OKC a lot. And, you know, Shea coming out of nowhere really didn't come out of nowhere. The guy he's gotten better each year he's played.
Yeah, I was kind of like you, Derek. I was kind of on the fence of both teams. And then slowly I moved on over to OKC. But Tim knows I'm a bandwagoner. But this time I really didn't have a team I was pulling for. So it was, but I did come to know the players, because they weren't on television a lot. I didn't know a lot of them. And so over the course of the series, I think I started kind of getting to know them a little bit better, which is great. It's great.
Don't you all of you think the great part of this series, I know they weren't so-called marquee names, the teams, but we're seeing the changing of the guard. If you remember just a few years ago, we were talking about Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, guys like that, teams with threesomes, Brown and Tatum or whoever you want to attach to it, Porzingis. So you looked at all these teams, Aaron Gordon, Jokic, and Murray. The game is changing now. Now we're looking at teams that are starting to grow these guys from they're planting their seed. They're growing guys they're getting players that are young, and they're giving them a chance to grow together. And so that's what I was happy to see. If you look at it, they were the two deepest teams in the league, and there weren't a lot of marquee names, but there were a lot of really good players that bring it 100% of the time. They play hard every single night, and that's what I think people are missing. It's not about just the stars anymore. The role players,
the construction of the Oklahoma City, because they had a ton of picks. They drafted well. They had a ton of picks in this draft. All these cats who got drafted this year know they're not going to play. They know they're going to be in the G League or doing something else. But nonetheless, they did it the right way. They built up a lot of draft capital, and they chose well. It's one thing to have the draft picks. It's one thing to get good people. And one other thing is keep Porzingis' name out your mouth. He's a Hawk now.
Yeah, I know. I hated to see that because it's kind of like Boston gave up. I know Tatum is out next year,
right?
So I can understand. And then you're dealing with the finances and all that. But I kind of I didn't like to see them break up the team like that. It's no different than like Milwaukee with Dame, and I'm sure we get into that. How they just kicked Dame to the curb. I've been upset about that all day. Can we talk about that, Ricky?
Yes, absolutely.
That broke.
Let's start that. Let me just let the audience know, and they probably already know that the Bucks have released Damian Lillard with 2 years remaining on his contract. He's going to probably miss all of next year with the Achilles injury, and I definitely want to get your thoughts on the rash of Achilles injuries. And then on top of that, they signed Myles Garrett away from their Indiana Pacers.
They might need Myles Garrett, but Myles Turner.
Myles Turner. But it needs somebody to rush the passer.
Yeah. But you know what, though? I was upset about that Dame thing. I thought it was like, the cruelty of business. But he still gets his $12 million each year.
22 million.
You come get paid.
22 million.
22 million.
22
He's not going to lose any money. It's just a cruel thing, and it's like you wonder what Antetokounmpo's thinking now with with that move. Because is Myles going to be a better player for him?
This is what bothers me though, Tim. You see all these interviews, right? They do all these. I'm gonna call them fake interviews, man, because people a lot of times they're not genuine when they do these interviews, right? So you hear these general managers and these coaches. Oh man, we just love this guy, and it's been a pleasure. Him and his family, we're just so glad they're here in Milwaukee. This man left Portland. He comes to Milwaukee. He struggles the first year, and as you know, he went through some stuff off the floor as well with him and his wife. You know, in that situation. But he comes out and he plays. He gets hurt this year. He's sitting out. He missed the last 14 games of the NBA season. He sucks it up for the team. He comes back to play. And we've seen it happen over and over and over and over, where guys come back too soon and they're not in the condition that they could be in and they get injured. But for the fact that he put it all on the line for that city, for that team, and then this is how you repay him, man, waving him while the man is injured. He got injured in the heat of battle for your team. And he at least deserved. The guy's been in the league 12, 13 years. Everyone knows who Dame Time is. And that's just for me, man. When they talk all that, we love you and we care. This said total opposite, man. This said that you're nothing but a number, nothing but a name, a jersey, and that's all you are.
Had it always been that way?
No, you got some teams that really act like they care about their players. They let their players. If you look back at Phil Jackson, the guys like that, Greg Popovich, these are guys that really take their. You know, they really put it all on the line, Ricky. It's not just on the floor. They have dinner with these players. They get to know these players personally. And it is a business. But it's also about doing the right thing, man. I mean, Dame, he deserved better than that. You're going to cut the man while he's hurt, and he got hurt trying to fight for your team so your team could get back to the championship. I know it's a business, but it's a cutthroat business.
I'm glad you mentioned Pop, because that was Steven Jackson told a story of when, I think something like where his mom was sick or mom was ill, and Steven was still, with the team. And he's like, Pop said, why are you here?
Take
go.
Time off. Yes.
Yeah, just go. Take care of your mom. And then Pop made sure to check in on his mom while she was ill. I mean, this guy, he's a special guy. And you look at that and you wonder why people play hard for him. That's the kind of thing it is. The rest of the other cats, you're just a means to their success. But you mentioned Jackson and that, like that.
But you keep Doc Rivers and you get rid of Dame.
Yeah.
That guy right there, he's the luckiest coach in the NBA.
He's been around.
He's always been around finding jobs everywhere he goes. He's good. His resume is
Doc's a good coach.
He was, Ricky. Remember, this is what have you done for me lately? Doc haven't been a good coach in the last. I know the man personally, and I love the guy. But as a coach, he hasn't been a good coach in the last 7-8 years.
Boston,
if they make the playoff, he gets knocked out the first round every single time.
See, I thought Indy was just better than they were.
Yeah, but I mean, what about the year before this and the year before that? The year before that, he's getting everywhere he goes now. His team is automatically, when Doc goes to a team, the talk is that they're going to get knocked out early, and that's what's been happening for the last several years.
Yeah, you never worried about the Clippers advancing past you.
Okay. Honestly.
Yeah, that was never an issue at all. So, yeah, that's pretty much the thing with him. But Derek, talk about the draft right now. What do you think of Mr. Flagg? And is he like the second coming of Larry Bird?
It's been said. Right?
No, I don't think there'll be a second coming of Bird in my lifetime. But if Cooper can go out and pave his own way, he has potential to have a really good career. And I think with Dallas, it gives him a chance to learn on the fly. He's going to be thrown into the heat of battle, but he's got some guys he can go to battle with. I'm sorry that Kyrie's out, but he's got veterans like Anthony Davis and PJ Washington and all those guys. And I think that's going to help him kind of ease his transition. And so I think Cooper can be a really good player. I can't say that he will be a superstar right now, but it depends on if he keeps putting in the work. We remember Kobe Bryant wasn't a superstar from the beginning. Didn't even hardly play, but he kept putting in the work. So I will say that Cooper has the skill set. From what I've seen in little intangibles, even in college, he seemed to be a team player and a guy that cared about the others around him, making them better instead of just worried about himself. And I thought he sacrificed a lot this year. He could have scored a lot more, I believe, if necessary, but he was in it, as they say, in it to win it. So I think he's going to have a very productive career. I won't say superstar yet, but I think he has the potential.
Hey, no, go ahead. Somebody was about to jump in. Go ahead.
I was about to say about, I think they added D'Angelo Russell in the past day or two as well.
Yes.
So I mean, the Dallas is they're reloading, and they might look a whole lot different, and maybe a really good basketball team. Who do you see has really done well in free agency?
That team down the road from San Antonio, other than Dallas, the Houston Rockets.
Oh, okay. They got Kevin Durant.
They got rid of him. And they sent Brooks out, but they replaced him with Dorian Finney-Smith, I believe. So you got guys like that, Torrey Eason. You still got Şengün, who I think will get better. I think that Golden State series was a wake-up. Who did they play? Who was that giving Şengün all? Oh, yeah, Golden State. When he looked kind of nervous in that series at times against Draymond. So I think I think that's a lesson for him that's going to make him a better player. And this is why I believe in Houston so much. That coach that they have. We know he went through some trials and tribulations in Boston. But one thing you cannot say about him is that he's not a good coach. I think Udoka is a great coach. I think these players are going to respond very well to him. And I think looking at it right now with the addition of Kevin Durant, what did they need last year? They were missing scoring. Jalen Green is not a Kevin Durant. So I think that's a team to be reckoned with.
Isn't Van Vliet down there?
They got Capella.
They got Capella.
They got Capella back. Isn't Fred Van
Vliet? They still have Steven Adams.
Van Vliet is still there. He signed for 2 years.
Fred Van Vliet. Yeah, so that's a team that right now, if you on paper right now in the Western Conference, they would be a top 3 team to me right now with OKC and a healthy Dallas. Or
what do you think about? I'm sorry.
Say it again.
I didn't cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. I was just saying them and just thinking about the teams that could contend. It's really like 4 on this tree right now that I see. That's OKC. That's Houston. There's Denver. I have to throw Denver in there. And the Dallas Mavericks. Right now, those will be my 4 teams just on paper right now that I will pencil in as being teams that could all come out of the Western Conference.
Oh, so I was going to ask about Tim's team, the Hawks. Are you rolling your eyes or down to the right or left?
I was rolling my eyes down to the right. I was already telling people the parade route is already mapped. You got Porzingis, you got Kennard. They needed another outside shooter, backup guard. They got him. They drafted well. They got a really good kid out of Georgia who's a really talented person. So
sir. They got a guy from UTSA as well, Kason Wallace, brother Keith. So
that was another signing right there. People are loving. They're loving him. They think he's a great defender. They already have a lockdown defender. In the kid they got from New Orleans last year. So they are.
Not to cut you off, but I got to ask you. So you all in that area? Whose team is it? Is it Trae Young's team or is it Quinn Snyder's team?
It depends on. I think it's more Quinn's team than it is Trae's. They're gonna run what Quinn says run, but then let me take that back. When Trae's on the floor, it's Trae's team. When Trae's on the bench, it's Quinn Snyder's team. Because it seems like everything comes off of what Trae does. I mean, that the plays, everything runs through him.
Where's Trae's team then?
Hey, Ricky, I only asked that because it's only who would they get rid of first? That's whose team it is. And right now, I think they would get rid of Trae before they would
I think Quinn's on a short leash.
Yeah, they get rid of Quinn.
You think Quinn's on a short leash?
Oh, yeah. They said, look, we get on. Pardon me?
You think he's on a short leash?
I do. I thought last year he was in trouble. I really did.
After Lloyd Pierce and Nate McMillan, when they transitioned to this guy, I guarantee they told him, we're going to give you a chance to sink or swim. And as you know, in this business, we just being real. Certain guys get a longer leash than others.
Yeah,
this is true. But I look at Pierce. He was on the bench for the Pacers. He can still coach, evidently.
Yeah.
And I think, and McMillan, I think he found another job in the league as well. He didn't roll out of the NBA. So those, he's a head coach killer. and for sure, because Trey didn't want to do what those guys. I mean, Lloyd was emphasizing defense, and that's not a strength for Trey. Trey is never going to be a great defender, which is why those, getting Porzingis and folks like that on the back end is going to be really helpful. But I don't see that.
Atlanta signed Luke Kennard too. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. They got a backup guard and a shooter. They needed somebody else to shoot the ball. So I mean, they're going to be okay. I just think the other teams are going to be so much better. I mean, the East is a toss-up, except for Indy. I mean, Miles Turner, I don't think was a great loss for them because Miles didn't show up a lot in the playoffs. I mean, if they lost Siakam, that'd be something different because he was always there. Halliburton disappeared from time to time. Would you agree, Derek?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
What about your team, Ricky?
The mighty Detroit Pistons.
Yeah,
we got all kind of problems, man.
We got
all kind of problems.
Got problems.
The whole thing with Malik Beasley. Derek, it's a story in the Detroit News today. The dude had a downtown condo, hadn't paid rent on. He owes everybody. He owes his barber money. Seriously, guys. Malik Beasley owes his barber money. And he's paid $60 million in his career. And Derek, he was about to sign, had a tremendous season for the Pistons. About to sign a 3-year, probably $45 million contract. It's gone now.
Is that how it sounds? So they must think there's something into what's, Miss Tree and Tim, you know what the conversation around him is right now, right?
What's that?
Gambling? They're investigating him for gambling.
Yeah. If they said no formal charges have been filed, that's what his agent says. If you're going to be, we're mincing words here. No formal charges, but there's something there. Otherwise, his name wouldn't be out there.
Well, he's a third name this year. Last year, remember they banned Michael Porter Jr.'s brother,
right?
And then we started hearing some rumblings about Terry Rozier in Miami. So now with bringing out Malik Beasley, man, that it's not a good look. I'm just telling you that.
But Derek, when you played, couldn't do anything near gambling, going to a casino, and now you watch a game, you got the
ESPN bet on the field,
the parlays over there.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
I'm not defending Malik Beasley at all and hopefully he's not guilty of that. But if he's done that, he's just a knucklehead. But what I'm asking you, do you see some of the hypocrisy in the gambling issues, not only NBA, professional sports overall today?
The problem I have is that the NBA is hard to, don't try to crack down on some of you allowing it. I mean, they legalize gambling now. So it's kind of like you said, that doesn't make, that is hypocritical. Now you want to crack down on it, but you're allowing it. And you see these teams, man, it's sad, man. You see people, and I'm not a gambler. You hear people talking about players messed up they parlay and all that nonsense, man. It's gotten out of control. So they got to try to figure out. But I do on Malik Beasley. I hope he's not guilty of this, because if he is, man, this is gonna. You know what comes after this, Ricky. Once one player is convicted, and then they start coming down looking for stuff on other players. And I just thought these guys would learn from that little incident with Glenn Big Davis and all of them, the fraud case.
Right.
I was hoping
the insurance and all that.
Yeah, man, when that kind of stuff going on, and then when Ja Morant, the stuff was going on with him, I mean, what does it take for these guys to wake up, man? I mean, come on, you got someone around you that has to have a brain and telling these guys to make better decisions. And you don't even take a chance on blowing a $40-some million contract. And Ricky, you saw one of the highlights. The score 118 to 110. And so Malik's looking up at the scoreboard. His team is down. The game is almost over. They inbound the ball at the baseline. He goes down full speed and lays it up at the buzzer and covered the point spread.
And I think of that game 5 against the Knicks. No, game 6 that they lost. He's got a corner jumper, his shot. Win the game, send it to game 7.
Fumble.
He missed the ball, man. I watched him play all the time. First time I saw him miss a pass like that.
So now, if he's suspect, any kind of bad play is suspect that he probably tried to do something.
Yeah.
And that just was casting aspersion to him. But I think about the leagues. Okay, it used to be nobody wanted to touch Las Vegas. So now, but now you have the Raiders in there. You have the Knights in hockey, and the A's are coming. Yeah. So they're just waiting for a basketball team.
WNBA there.
With WNBA, I mean, everybody's in Vegas now, and the pretense of not even taking any of that money, because that's more money for the league. That's more exposure for the league. Gambling is a big seller, but it's trickled down to colleges now, where people are threatening these kids who screw up people's parlays. And you see commercials that are saying, please don't, it's not the player's fault. They're not trying to screw up your betting. So don't get up there and threaten these kids. It's a different world.
Is what they should.
Ricky, do any of you three think they would bring this up, Malik Beasley, if they didn't have some kind of information? They've been looking. This isn't something they just woke up yesterday and started investigating, because the first thing they're gonna worry about is a lawsuit. So to bring that out, man, I mean, there's something as they've seen that makes them at least contemplate whether he was doing this or not. And I'm hoping not, man, because we're having to set these examples for these kids, man. I mean, have we forgotten that? Have we just gotten totally away from that?
Yeah, for sure. But to the Pistons, as they prepare for next season, so you got to move on from Malik Beasley. They do get Jaden Ivey back, who was playing great before he got hurt. What else do they need to add to that roster? They got money. Are they? You think they'll be willing to spend some of that now?
They need a center. They need a center, because Jalen Duren is really a power forward.
Would you go after Ayton?
No, that's not the center I would go after if I'm trying to win. No, no, I'm not bringing that into the locker room.
Ayton is 26 years old.
I'm not bringing any malcontents into the locker room. No, between today, Wednesday, and Tuesday and Wednesday, you don't know what you're going to get mentally from Ayton. There was a reason he was moved from Phoenix. They trade him for Nurkic, and then now him and Nurkic both get moved, and so. It didn't work out when they traded them for each other. And Ayton averaged 14 points and 10 rebounds playing for Portland. But is he a guy you could depend on when you're looking at what's going on in the NBA now? As good as the Pistons are on an upward trend. So I think we need somebody more like a Walker Kessler. I would have even taken a Miles Turner, Capella, players like that with some experience, that have had some kind of, they've won a little bit at least. And you don't know what you're getting when you bring in a DeAndre Ayton. I don't want to see him mess up the chemistry that what JB Bickerstaff is building, and Cade and all those guys. I don't want to see them ruin that by bringing in a guy who's more worried about himself than he is about the team.
So you're like me, Derek. I have a hard no knucklehead policy. I mean, you got to get character guys in there that can play ball. And it's not hard to find them, because OKC, you look at the guys on that team, they're character guys through and through. You see, I love to see their post-game interviews. It's not just one guy that does an interview. The entire team comes and circles a guy, and they sit back there and let it go. But those are good kids. That entire team, they pick good people, and they don't have they don't have any knuckleheads. And that's the thing where people miss on that. You don't always have to just sacrifice team chemistry for talent.
A no knucklehead policy.
Right. That's hurt me before, because I saw that when the Hawks had a chance to draft this guard out of Wake Forest, I saw him step on a kid's chest in the ACC tournament, and I said, I would not draft that kid ever. It was Chris Paul.
Hey, speaking of him, D, is there a place for him in the NBA now? He's a
The last I heard, he was trying to get to at the Lakers, but it'll be for me the perfect destination for him to finish out his career would be the Clippers, a team he's already kind of led to some kind of prominence. I mean, with him, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and he lives in LA, and I think that's where he will finish his career. I don't think the Spurs have room for him now. Bringing in Dylan Harper. And you already, we have De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle. So I don't think there's room for him in the backcourt. But I would like to see him end up with James Harden and those guys, with Kawhi, with the Clippers.
What do you think of the Lakers?
Well, they're getting better. They brought in a big man, didn't they?
They did. But
LeBron
LeVriera? Yeah, he's supposed to be a guy. He could play a little bit, could shoot, because help space the floor and all that. But they have to get a rim runner for Luka, a guy that can duck alley oops. They tried that with Jackson Hayes, but we know Jackson is not really a starter in the league. So I thought they would go after a Capella or somewhere like that, because Luka, if you look at his history since he's been in the league, he's got to have a rim runner. If he doesn't have that, he's not the same player. He's got to be able to break down the defense and get in the paint. And when the defense converges on him, what does he do? Then he throws the lob. And so, to me, that's the number one thing they have to work on. And at some point, they're going to find a center this year, I believe. And they're going to try to get in contention, because this might be LeBron's last year.
And D, I saw a thing this afternoon. I meant to mention it early about the Knicks reaching out to Don Staley. Is that just PR stuff?
I don't.
And do you think there's a woman who could coach the NBA?
Yes, I've always thought there's women that could coach. Now, whether they'll make it happen, I also thought there could be a woman that could be president. So,
yes.
Once it comes down to actually making it happen, and people they talk a good game in public, but once they get in that booth, they say something different. And with the Knicks, it was just like, I don't know why they did it. I guess they're trying to keep up with the teams that were bringing, like the Spurs, mentioning Becky Hammond and all that kind of stuff. There was at no point where they're going to hire Don Staley, but I guess it was good entertainment for them.
But didn't Becky coach the Spurs for a taste with Pop? Wasn't she on the squad?
She was on the bench, but she coached like 1 or 2 games.
Okay.
But I thought already that a woman could have coached, and I thought a long time ago Cheryl Miller had the disposition to be a head coach in the NBA. Candace Parker, there are players out there, but you know how they still the women. They say the women are on the come up, Miss Tree. You know the truth. They're still taking a while to get the women to where they belong.
I had the pleasure of covering Pat Summitt when she was kicking everybody's butt in the SEC. She was a heck of a coach, man. I mean, she was as good as anybody I've seen coach this game.
Ricky, what did the women teach?
But you said it, D. Hell, you saw somebody that could have been president.
What did the women teach, though? If you look at the women, the way they play the game, don't be fundamentally sound. What are we missing here in America in the basketball with the boys and the men? Fundamentals. The last 7 MVPs have been where? For the regular season, have all been foreigners.
Foreign players. Yeah.
And then I went back and looked, man. I said, it's sad. So at some point, something has to change. But right now, as far as a woman, I welcome it. I would like to see a woman. I wanted to see Dawn Staley. So maybe she'll get an opportunity somewhere else. Or another woman out there, Miss Tree, they might be looking at you up soon.
I don't think that will be happening, sir.
But women, they have these women can coach. They know the game. They study. They put the time in. They study the game, and I think they're qualified. And I'm not just saying that because we're on the air. I really think that they're qualified. It's basketball. It's just basketball.
Right. I agree.
One of these ladies, Caitlin. Look what Caitlin Clark's doing. The publicity she's getting, and how it's helping grow the WNBA. I think a woman could help do the same with the NBA. I really do.
Speaking of Caitlin, and I want to ask you 2 things. I want to mention, we were just talking earlier before you came on about Caitlin Clark. And I want to get on this Achilles thing before we get out of here, too. Caitlin Clark finished 9th in the player voting in the WNBA for WNBA All Stars. She was 9th among her peers. What do you see when you see that? Any thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was looking at you. I saw you guys.
We're all looking at. We're all looking. It's like
We are on African American show. So.
When he said 9th, I was looking at your face. I was like, okay, he's getting ready to unload.
Well, I mean, okay, there's two things. We go by popularity or we go by actual play on the floor.
Right.
I'm a guy that goes by actual play on the floor. And if we're looking at actual play on the floor, she doesn't even deserve to be in the top 9. There was a lot of back and forth last year about Angel Reese and Caitlin, right? Mm-hmm. So if you look at the season this year, who's been playing better when they were healthy? Angel Reese has been out playing Caitlin this year. And there are several women in the backcourt that have been out playing Caitlin this year. And when you're looking at her shooting 29% from three, one out of her last 23 or whatever, 3-pointers.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, she's like one out of the last 23, shooting 29% from 3-point range. That's not a top 9 player. But, of course, she's been anointed as the next, female Larry Bird, I guess, or whatever.
Wow. Let me just stop you here, D, because I thought she was killing it. I'll be honest, I don't follow the WNBA close. I will when they get to the playoffs. But anytime I see a highlight, it's Caitlin hitting the 3. So she's hitting 1 out of those 30%. So I'm just thinking she's just rolling over people.
But you know what they don't show you, Ricky? What they don't ever show you when they show her stat line, 18 points, 10 assists. They don't show those 7 or 8 turnovers.
Yeah.
Right.
So right now, she's averaging 5.9. Tim, she's averaging 5.9. Last year, she averaged 5.6 turnovers a game. She had 223 turnovers. That's by far the WNBA record. Right now, this year, she's averaging 5.9 turnovers. The highest of all time in pros in the United States is James Harden. In 2016, he averaged 5.7 turnovers. She's
D on the show, y'all.
She's beating that.
Well, the deal is the other teams are deploying the Udoka defense like they did, like Houston did on Steph. They were beating Steph up. They were inside his jersey. They're doing the same thing to Clark this year.
Well, Tim, but she does a lot of sneaky stuff as well and gets away with it. And she walks away from after she does it. Even I could bring up an incident that this is when I was Caitlin's biggest fan in Iowa. And this is when it all turned from me. Do you remember the game they were playing? It was Ohio State. After the game, you know how the fans rushed the floor? There was a fan that collided with Caitlin. Do you remember that? A female. Right. And they collided. Mm-hmm. And they swore that Caitlin, the lady, ran into Caitlin and knocked her down and all that. And then when you go back and really look at the video, Caitlin forearmed the lady to the ground. Mm-hmm. And see, people wanted to overlook that. So that right there told me when Caitlin didn't come out and tell the truth about that incident, I saw her differently from that point on. She does a lot of stuff. Waving a hand at the girl like I'm not guarding her. Remember, this is the one they say how well she behaves and how classy she is. How many classy players do players like that? So we're going through the same thing in the higher office. These are the people that have been anointed for whatever the reason. And she's the one that they're trying to build up for whatever the reason. But I think Paige Beckers is a better player than Caitlin Clark. But Caitlin is the one that they've chosen to promote.
Brother, you have schooled me. I totally missed that. Hey, D, we just got a few more minutes. The rash of Achilles injuries, are these preventable? You guys used to get taped all the time. With a lot of you players from your era wore high tops. Yeah. Is any those things would help maybe with some of these injuries?
I think, for me, I don't think it's the shoes. I think you remember now when I played, we practiced a lot. Today, these guys don't even hardly practice. So, I mean, I think they should be practicing more. And I know that might sound crazy to some people, but sometimes when you're not practicing, your body is not in the supreme condition that it should be in. And you see what happens when these guys, when they sit out from injury and then they come back. We saw it with Kevin Durant come back and get hurt. We see it with Dame come back and get hurt. We see it with Tyrese Halliburton come back and get hurt. Yeah, I think so. I think it's just these guys their bodies aren't in the condition like we used to play. Every day we practiced. Now they don't even practice. So you just basically shooting. You just having shoot-arounds. So I think to play a 48-minute game for 82 games, you need to be in supreme condition. You notice these guys can't even play 60 games now.
Yeah.
Do you think it's
not about the shoes?
Go ahead.
It's not about the shoes.
Say that again, Ms. Tree.
I said it's not about the shoes.
No, it's not the shoes.
Well, my thing is, I'm thinking the coaches should save those guys from themselves in terms of coming back from injury, unless they're like going, I need this guy to keep my job, and I think that's where the
Tim, what would you think of this? Who practices as hard as LeBron James? Honestly, I'm not a great LeBron. I'm not a big fan, but I can't overlook what the man has done in his career. Who practices harder than him?
Yeah, it's a work ethic.
Him and Steph and guys like that. Do you see them getting hurt like that all the time?
They put a lot of money on training too. So yeah, there's that.
There's something to that, man. And it's terrible to see, and it's not just the NBA. I was watching the Tigers the other night. Tarek Skubal striking out everybody, man. He struck out 13 guys in 7 innings, and they took him out of the damn game. He won 1 hit.
You have to protect those investments.
Tim, he's 25 years old, man. Come on.
And they want to keep it for the next 10 years. So, yeah. 100 pitches, brother. 100 pitches. Forget that Nolan Ryan would throw like 150 pitches for a complete game.
I guess I need to get over that.
Yeah, forget
That's
that.
Back in that day type of.
Hey, Ricky, can we end before you guys get off? I want to ask, so what do y'all think as far as Giannis? Do you think he's staying or going after this Dame move?
He's staying now.
See, I would have said he's staying. Now, after the Dame move, I'm saying it's up in the air.
But is Miles Turner not a big addition for them?
Not if he's a fan. But they didn't bring him in to run the pick and roll with Giannis. They brought in Dame. And then you try to build it with the 2 stars. And it seemed like Giannis and Dame ended up getting a pretty good relationship between the 2 of them. And it didn't sound like they were very happy, that Giannis was very happy about this move, which tells me they made this move without consulting with him at all. And he didn't seem to be too happy about it.
And that's always a mistake with your superstar by changing your roster without consulting them, because he'll file that away. Granted, Giannis is a different cat, because when Halliburton's dad got in his face, I can't imagine anybody else having that kind of restraint.
Without knocking his teeth out. I hate to be honest, Mr. Tree. Yeah, guys handle it a little different.
Yes.
Hey, I want to before we get out of here, I want to put this up. I'm surprising you with this, D. Your big brother is Ice 44.
Oh, look at there.
Spell the essence of Ice 44. It was George Ice Kirk.
Hey, Ricky, look at that guy in the background on the right.
Is it World B. Free?
Mr. D, Mr. Basketball Player DJ. The 3 of us one day went to George's house after a game, right? And so World B likes to drink beer. And so he started drinking. The first guy I ever saw drink 2 beers at one time. But he's
it takes some skill right there.
Oh yeah, it was funny. But he's a very good DJ.
Okay.
And so I'm glad he's in this picture. But this vodka, it hasn't come out in the United States yet. George that wrote me today. He's actually coming back to the States. He's in the Bahamas. I guess they got beat so bad the other day in the Big 3 without Joe Johnson that he had to take a trip with his family to the Bahamas. But this was my nephew's idea, Ricky, to come up with this vodka. And so this is all people have been asking me about for the last 2 days. And I hope it goes off well. I'll let everybody know when it's on the market.
Okay.
We should all be getting a bottle. Is that what I heard?
Well, hey Ricky, this is what I'm gonna do. By the time I come there for my Hall of Fame thing in August, the 17th, guess what I plan on bringing? Do you drink at all, Ricky?
Yes, sir. I will with you, man.
I don't drink vodka.
I don't drink either.
I'll have a shot on my brother's name, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
So,
is that Paul Silas?
No, that's like a David somebody.
That's Mike Gale. That's Mike Gale.
Mike Gale, okay.
Mike Gale.
I'll tell.
Oh, that's his teammate, Mike Gale.
Rest in peace, Mike Gale. Yeah.
And I love this picture because that's George's signature finger roll.
Well, that's a great idea, but I had to make sure I told people that George doesn't drink. Hell, he hasn't had a drink in almost 40 years. So people see his body now, and they think the alcohol has contributed to his weight gain. So you know me as the brother, I have to make sure I let people know the real story. It has nothing to do with his weight gain, with alcohol. It has a lot to do with father time and injuries or whatever may happen.
Tell me about. He's still teeing it up every week. I see.
Yeah, he's going. Well, he got a little range out on the side of his house. So if he can't do anything else, he's just as serious about golf as he was about the finger roll.
Hey, when he gets back and the season's over, we'd love to have him on to talk about Ice 44 and his career and all the great things the Gervin family has done in basketball.
Have you seen his team, Ricky, that he's got now? The big
I've
three
not
team?
seen them yet.
Joe. Well, he's got Joe Johnson. This guy Pargo, one of his brothers.
I'm from Fargo.
Pargo.
He's a big Orlando.
But it's two Pargos. One played in the NBA, and the other one played overseas in Israel. The one that's played overseas is the one that they have planned for him. So they got 5 players, of course. You got a guy that was playing last year, Darnell Jackson, one of their big men. But they got a pretty good squad. They struggled. It's amazing. They lost. It's the first team to 50 in the Big Three. And Joe Johnson is averaging 30. And so they got beat 51-30 without Joe. So I guess after that, George had to take a trip.
ISO Joe.
Is Abdul Rauf in the league this year?
Say that again.
Abdul Rauf.
Is he great? Oh, I didn't see him
this year.
No, he's not playing this year. No, they got guys like Montrezl Harrell and Dwight Howard playing this year.
Really?
Okay.
Yes, Dwight's playing. Got in a fight already. Him and Lance Stevenson 2 weeks ago.
Lance.
I just call it ghetto behavior, man. And I said that's ridiculous. I could call it that because we got this platform. Ice Cube doing something great, and you already know we got 2 strikes against us. First of all, they don't even like us being on TV when you got something that's being promoted by black people, and then they're gonna get in there and they fighting in the stands. That's the easiest way to get something canceled. Steven Jackson acting a fool. He's a coach. He tried to fight a player 2 weeks ago. He wants to tell the guy, let's meet outside, MF, and take it outside and all that kind of stuff, man.
These guys are like 90 years old now, right? Still talking this noise.
56 years old, man. He still, he want to take the dude outside. He's supposed to be a coach, though.
He's the coach.
Acting a fool, as you said. Acting a fool.
Hey, we got to get out of here, man. We've gone over time. The D is worth going over time for. Derek, thank you so much, brother, for joining.
Man, I love you, man. Oh, this is the best show, and I'm excited every time I get to see the 3 of you and come on here. So thank you.
We appreciate you. For Derek Gervin, Tim Turner, T. McDougal, I'm Rickey Hampton. Good night.
Miss Tree, have a good night. Have a good night.